Hello everybody, welcome to the Will It Start video for the 77 F-250 project.
Flashback.
This vehicle has come a long ways. If you're watching this for the first time, I highly suggest you go back in the playlist and see what we did to get up to this point of it being able to potentially run and start now.
Woo! For the people who are actually hanging on to this episode, actually want to know what's going on. There's a little fire. There's our battery. And post-fire, we had a rat's nest built up here. Lovely. And there's a heater box that's crispy fried. Crispy fried. And brake reservoir, vacuum reservoir's got a hole in it.
We have done a lot of things on it. Obviously, we switched power plants because the original power plant was just too grimy and icky and nasty and seized. And to be honest, I'm not sure we couldn't rebuild it without putting liners in it. So we decided to go for an engine core swap, as well as I did very, very light body work just to pretty up the engine bay a little bit. And let me tell you what, there are a lot of sand discs I ate through. It went fairly fast for this, like the big flat spots you see here. Also got some Eastwood sealant, seam sealer on here. Oh yeah, let's make it look nice and pretty. Just slapped on some standard primer on the clean metal that I sanded off. And then of course we used the proper coated chrome yellow custom paint we had, or my brother ordered up to match the rest of the pickup. And I must say, it came out really nice. Well, for a lovable rank amateur, perhaps.
End of flashback.
And now this is the time where we're gonna try to attempt to get it going again. So first of all, I try to put in my service truck battery because I just being cheap because I just didn't want to go to the store and realize, nope, that's not gonna fit. That's not going right. So I had to actually eject that back out because the flipping cables I made specifically for a specific battery size. Hindsight, that may not have been a good idea, but it won't fit with my my service rig battery, which is lovely, that is. So let's go ahead and yeet that out. Yeah, I tried flipping it around and still no success. Anyways, so let's go get a proper battery and see if this idiot of a mechanic can actually get this truck started without burning it down. This truck has had quite a history of burning itself down, so we we need to do this a little bit more properly. Yeah. Right, so after running the store, we got a Legend battery, premium edition from the Napas. This is an AGM battery, or advanced glass matte battery, meaning it is not a wet cell battery, meaning it's like the Optima batteries. You can flip it upside down and it won't leak out, in theory, of the electrolytes and rot out the fender like it did the first time on this pickup. These are a little bit more expensive, but since there's no battery acid that'll be spilling out, it'll prevent rotting out, as well as giving you a higher cold cranking amps during cold conditions. Yeah, how about that? That's pretty cool. So we'll give it a little ploppy poo in there. Yes, I did take the terminal protectors off. I've seen some pictures where, bless people who work on cars, but sometimes they do have a brain fart like me and they leave those on and then realize, why will the car start? So the screwdriver, by the way, is the proper installation tool for battery terminals. Just letting you know. I authorized it myself, so you are good to go there. And please, when you're torquing these down, don't torque it down to 90,000 foot-pounds. That's how you break these wire connections or the battery terminals on the wires in the first place. Just go easy on it. So now what I'm going to do is do a free spin or no compression spin on the engine. That basically allows me to make sure that the starter's behaving itself. It sounds good. There's nothing clanking or banging, you know, between the transmission and the engine. Also, with zero compression, also allows that oil pump to pump everything back up a little bit faster than my drill could ever pump up, to ensure that everything is still nice and lubricated, and just make sure we're not going to hurt ourselves before we throw compression into the engine. Just making sure everything sounds good, pump the oil up. That's all we're doing. So, right, here we go. Let's try it.
Well, I don't hear anything clunking. Spins over nice and freely. Sounds like the battery might be actually wearing down. Might have been on the shelf for a bit. Well, I go ahead and do that. I'm going to throw it on the charger, put some spark plugs in. However, it looks like I got a fuel leak here somewhere. Looks like it's coming from our accelerator pump. Love it. Lovely. This is why you don't hook the ignition system up when you're about ready to start the engine. Okay, we have to take the carburetor off for that. Lovely.
Upon review of the videotape, actually what happened is the I didn't tighten up the hose clamp enough on the fuel filter here. Unfortunately, Gates hoses, the carbureted side for carbureted rated engines, low PSI, I've been told they're starting to get inferior quality now, so I'm actually using fuel injection lines, which is a rubber hose, but it's got like a nylon insert, and those are a lot tougher. They can hold up to 60 PSI, and because of that, you can't use a traditional worm gear clamp. I'm using a T-bolt style hose clamp. Basically, it's a mini T-bolt style hose clamp, but it's a bolt style hose clamp, and that will actually give it even greater compression to actually crimp down on that fuel injection line. After I tighten that down, no more leaks, no muscle fuss. That's what it is. So I'm glad that was a simple problem to sort out.
I don't know what the torque specs are, about 30 foot-pounds. It's right about there. They call me the machine. Yes. Power! Anyways. To tap into my Jeremy Clarkson. Oops.
2 hours later.
Okay, so we got all wired up. Kind of disappointed in these live wires. They're short. This doesn't give me much wiggle room. Number 7 is pretty taut. I switched 6 and 4 around, so it'd be long enough to quasi reach around. Honestly, they make these too short. It's very disappointing. I even tried pulling the distributor out, putting it in different angles, trying to manipulate this around, and it just wasn't having it. So it's 2 or 3 inches would go a long ways, guys. Come on. But I think we can make do with what we have. Let's see if I have it 180 out or not. I don't think so, but we'll find out. Let's go ahead and fire it up for the first time and hopefully make some pretty noise, hopefully. Doesn't sound like it. It shut off right quick. We do have oil pressure on the instrument gauge cluster, which is good. Sounded good for a second. I had to shut it off because the distributor's pretty much pegged all the way to one side to get it to run. I might have to retime it a little bit so it runs better. We can adjust it. So let me plink around the distributor right quick, but yes, it does sound good. It does sound good. And the distributor's not at 180. So I gotta push it this way over, maxed out on the wire here in order to get it to run. So I'm gonna have to manipulate the distributor a little bit more. And then when we get done with that, I'll break in the rings. But this is good. This is good. Very, very good. Fun fact, when you gotta switch gears, you know, grab a tooth or lose a tooth or whatever, when you put it back in and it doesn't want to fit, it's not because of your camshaft gear, because that stays the same. What you want to do is you get your oil pump driver, get it in there and go, just turn it, wiggle it about a little bit until you get your advance or your retard timing where you want it. All right, let's try this again. Stopwatch, mark. Let's pause our timer here. I forgot, I need to check the transmission oil. I put some in there. I can't remember with the Fords if park or neutral, if the pump is even running, but if it is, I need to check on that. So let me top off that transmission fluid right quick. There's just an ever so tiny amount right at the end of that tip. Camera won't blast in focus, but there's just barely a dab in there, so I'm going to top off that transmission fluid right quick.
5 minutes later.
Transmission's topped off. I might check after 5 minutes just to make sure. Power steering pump has been topped off. Let's go. Mark.
Two very boring minutes later.
Right, well, the reason why we did a jump cut and the engine's off, after 4 whopping minutes, I had a fuel leak. Right here. This is the pressure side that goes up to the carburetor. It's not going well at all, mate. It's not going well at all. Plus, I had to stop and refuel the transmission. Plus, I had to stop and put more liquid in the transmission and blah, 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 blah nonsense. What's going on here is there is a well, that's the wrong one. What the oh, it is half dingling. So what's going on here is we got a steel coupler here. There's steel line. It's not copper, it's steel. And the inside might be brass, but I think it might be steel as well. Steel on steel does not create a good fit because both metals are pretty rigid and pretty hard. You know what I'm saying? Of course you do, darlings. So we gotta patch this up. So in this particular situation, it's a simple $1 fix, but you gotta buy a pack of 10 of them to fix it. So you get yourself a pair of flare washers. This is the 5/16 variety for a 45-degree flare. You can see right there, it's cupped nicely. That will literally recess right in that flare, go between those two steel fittings, and it'll crimp down right nicely, creating a very smushy, nice, soft seal that our fuel won't leak. So anyways, they come in 5/16, 3/8, 1/4 inch. They come in a lot of different varieties. That's the part number for the 5/16 flavor I'm using. Note made in USA. Thank you very much. I get the punch us into Grainger.com and they'll come up with it. So Grainger.com is where I get mine. Anyways, flare fittings or flare washers, I guess you would call them, made of copper. They should work a right treat without me having to redo the lines and stuff. Anyways, that's what those are. Put the cup part inward, I guess. Yep, should be right. If this doesn't work, I'll stick it on the other side. Oh, maybe. I guess you can put some grease on there to hold it. That just goes in there, and then that goes in there. And now you got a copper crush washer. One-time seal, of course, but it will seal it. So I'll keep the steel one and use a copper crush washer that for a pack of 10 is about $10. So they're about $1 a piece. That's not including shipping, of course. Yeah, it doesn't bottom out right away. You can feel it crushing it. Yes, much better. Much better. Much satisfied with that. So my boy Sorter George says, well chuffed with that, mate. Well chuffed. Link in the description down below. And I just realized my camera should have been like that while I was recording, but whatever. Whatever. All right, let's fire this pig up again now that's stone cold. I had to wait a few days to go get it. Just another day. Just a beautiful day, babies. 10-4. All right, and I do declare the break-in is complete. Well, the initial bit. Okay, boys and girls, the initial is complete. The initial break-in is complete.
And he set the timing 10 degrees before top dead center. That's what Dewey, the distributor manufacturers, say to do. So on this bit, I'm adjusting the idling drop on here. I will link in the description how to do it a little bit more properly. My good man Jeff at Elderly Iron has a very, very good tutorial on that. I'll link it down below. Very, very good tutorial. That's basically what I'm doing here. What this ensures is you got a nice proper mixture at idle. You're using the idle circuit and you're not in your primary circuit. And then after that, I simply adjusted the idle speed and we're pretty much ready. The engine's pretty much ready for a test drive.
We do have a bit of a minor, we got a bit of a problem here. That's coming from our steering box. Now you see on the frame rail where it's nice and juicy. Yeah, oh, there you go, right there. It's coming from the box. But that's not a weep. That's actually an active leak. And since that's an active leak, yeah, we really shouldn't be driving it because it's going to drain a lot of oil pretty fast. Well, I'm well pleased with it. This thing's almost out of my shop and into somebody else's shop, so it can become somebody else's problem. Truth be told, it's a lot of fun. I love working on old iron. Some of you guys were like, oh, where's all the Chevys at? We'll get to that someday, I promise. But not right now. This would just happen to come up on the ticket next. There'll be a few more episodes we're going to do with this pickup. We're going to put proper tiles instead of these old Steelies. We got a little ways to go yet, but it's almost roadworthy. I got to wire up all the brake lights, and you know, those are a thing. So, meantime, I'm going to do a lot of little stuff, and we'll see you guys hopefully not too distant future. There'll be a few more episodes, content on this pickup. Take it for a nice little test drive, and should be none the wiser. Thanks for watching. Keep the greasy side down, sunny side up. We'll catch you on the flip side, yo. I've got some hooing and hawing to do. I mean, I guess worst case scenario, just unplug the power steering pump. I don't know if I really recommend that, but I might have to tighten up a few. I might see if I can't try to tighten up a few bolts. Ugh, English we much. These are flare washers. They literally are a flared copper washer for flared fittings. So you get yourself a pair, or should be able to just simply pop it in here, maybe. Well, sort of. I gotta get my pick out because I didn't put it in quite right, of course. Try this again. Wow, man, I can get out of the wind.
And now this. Oops. It mainly consisted of, by this evening, my Amazon delivery is supposed to be by this evening. I want it by this afternoon. Poo-poo heads. Strike that from the record. And hello, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, this is the Speed Machine doing a voiceover. Oh, yeah. Welcome to the Will It Start video. This truck hasn't been started in 19 years due to an engine fire that was parked, that made itself parked. Strike it again. Do it again. Cut, cut, cut.